In the city of Taylor, Michigan, police officer Vines pulled behind 26-year-old Calvin Jones, who at the time was driving with his wife and younger brother. Officer Vines pulls them over, walks up to the side of the car and asks for his driver's license and registration. Calvin responds by asking why he was being pulled over.
How you doing, sir? How you doing? Do you have a driver's license for you, Johnny? What's going on? I'll be happy to tell you once I see who I'm talking to, alright? I need you to let me know, like, what's going on, like, what happened. I'd be happy to tell you once I see information.
Calvin refuses to hand over his information until the officer gives him a reason, and Officer Vines responds by asserting his power and becoming more aggressive.
I'm not giving you my information until you tell me what you pulled me over. Alright, sir. Failure to give me my information is a arrestable offense, okay? So you can either do this the easy way or the hard way, alright? I need to know what you're pulling me over for. I'm going to tell you once I see information, alright? I got information, but I'm not giving you my information until you tell me what you pull. Alright, here's the deal. Either give me your ID or you go to jail. How about that? But put this on camera, man, because you're not dealing with this.
When Calvin continues to insist that Officer Vines provide a reason for stopping him, the officer calls for backup and continues to refuse to clarify why he had pulled Calvin over.
I need to know, why you pulling me over? Tito 5 rail. I'll be on a stop, entrance to the parks. He sent me into the car. And uncooperative occupant. You tell me what's pulling me over for? Is my tags expired? Are my lights off? I'd be happy to tell you, sir. You said tell me what's going on, that. Are you a lawyer, sir? Hey, I'm representing myself right now. Okay, because to be honest with you, I have a right to lay stop, right? So I could just sit here and ignore you. No, you can't, sir. I don't answer any questions. Okay, well, it's going to turn out very poorly for you.
Officer Vines finally reveals that it's an investigatory stop and seems to start guessing at what Calvin did wrong.
It's fine, but you gotta tell me what's going on, and that ain't right. I'm gonna tell you what the deal is. You're probably suspended. So you don't want to give me your license. I don't have to give you my information. Okay, and tell me what's going on. So, am I free to go? No, you're not free to go. This is an investigatory stop, all right? All right. Let's get that poorly for you now. How about that?
At this point, the backup starts to arrive, and the officer continues to threaten Calvin, who expresses fear for his life.
I just said, you gotta let me know what's going on. All right, here's the deal. For all I know, you could be trying to kill me right now. You're absolutely ridiculous, all right?
I don't care.
All right, there's something about the car. It's bad too late. I'm stepping out the car. You could say you tell me what's going on. All right, open the door. Put this on camera. You gotta let me know what's going on, man. Not ignoring. You're going to jail is what's going on. For what? What charge?
Now conversations seem to be over, and as the officers walk up behind him, Officer Vines starts putting on gloves in preparation for what he's about to do. What happens next is a horrifying display of police brutality.
On what charge? Wow. Get out of the car now. Get out of the car, man. Get out of the car. Get out of the car. Get out of the car. Let me get out of the car. Okay, get out. Get out of the car. You ain't getting out of the fucking car. Get out of the car now. Get out of the car. On the ground. Put your hand behind your back. Cross your feet.
Taylor Police 1.
I got the car covered. Give your hand, man. I'll be kicking. Put your hand behind your back.
Officer Vines puts Calvin in a chokehold, and as you can see, his body goes limp as officers attempt to move him. The officers then proceed to force his wife and brother out of the car and search them before arresting them too.
That's fine, my bill. I don't know if you just screwed or what. It is. Open, I got it. Everything's fine. Right side. Yeah. Hurt. I haven't did nothing. Don't matter. Spread your feet. Drop your phone too. Put your hands on the car. I'm sorry? Put your hands on the car. Don't touch my phone. Get it out of your hand. Put your hand on the car. Police brutality. Police brutality. Police brutality. I ain't even doing nothing. You listen to what we're saying? Oh, you're going to jail too.
After his arrest, Calvin was stripped to his underwear and detained for several hours in a holding cell before being charged and released by the Taylor police. The charges were then dropped 8 months later when the American Civil Liberties Union learned about his case and paid for his legal representation. This video is a perfect example of why our system needs reform. The officer here took advantage of his position to dominate the driver and then every person in the car, whether he had a right to or not. First thing I try to see is why the officer is initiating the stop in the first place. In New York, in order to stop a vehicle, a police officer must have probable cause to believe that the driver of an automobile committed a traffic violation. In this case, we're able to see everything the officer sees from his dash cam. It appears that Calvin Jones' vehicle did not come to a full stop at the stop sign as shown in the side of the screen. Even if it was not a clearly visible stop sign, Mr. Jones failing to stop at it would allow Officer Vines to initiate a stop. Another thing I consider, what the different people's options were. Calvin could have provided his license or registration when asked. Was he required to do? Under Michigan law, he was. But given the history of aggressive policing upon people of color in this department in particular, Calvin was justifiably scared. What could Officer Vines have done? He could have de-escalated the situation, used no force, and simply answered Calvin why he had made the stop. Had Calvin simply been given a reason for why he pulled him over, which is customary but not required, then none of this would have happened. Instead of lowering the temperature, Officer Vines played the tough guy, threatening Calvin with the ultimatum that he would do it the easy way or the hard way. And Calvin didn't enthusiastically comply. It was Officer Vines that got violent, shattering the car window and escalating the situation to a point that almost resulted in Calvin's death. First being dragged from the car, then being choked around his neck until he lost consciousness. Not only that, the officer nearly got run over himself in the process. You see, the moment that glass broke, Officer Vines fell backward into the street and a passing vehicle came within inches of his head. Had he not caught himself, or had the vehicle been a little closer, that very well could have been game over. Another thing I look for is what the other officers do. Do they assess, or do they simply rush in? Here they rushed in, and one put Calvin in a chokehold, cutting off his oxygen supply. Behavior that led to the killings of people like Eric Gardner and George Floyd. While an argument can be made that there were grounds for arresting Calvin because he failed to provide his ID as the law required, the actions with regards to the other individuals were unlawful. When a driver breaks the law and commits, say, a driving infraction, doesn't provide his ID, or doesn't exit the vehicle as he was directed, the occupants are not subject to arrest unless they too violated the law. Here, nothing on camera shows any of that. In fact, the front seat passenger is pleading with Calvin to provide his ID the whole time. The officers then start ransacking the car. The only way they would be able to search the vehicle and the trunk is with a warrant or during an inventory search, which is a very particular procedure. None of those things were present here. What about Calvin? Does he have a claim for excessive force? Well, given that he was choked out to unconsciousness, I think he does. But believe it or not, as far as I know, either Calvin, or for that matter any of the occupants, have filed a lawsuit against the police department. And we'll discuss why that is in a moment. But if he did bring a case, would that be a strong case? Most any reasonable person who watches this video will agree that Calvin has a legitimate excessive force claim, and that the others have a claim for false arrest at least. Due to the history of this particular police force, their claim could be made even stronger by including allegations of racial discrimination. Turns out that the police in the city of Taylor have a history of using excessive force against black civilians, and many of these incidents have been captured on camera. In 2016, dashcam footage caught Taylor police officers beating Cody Meredith, a black man in his mother's front yard, because he failed to use a turn signal when turning into his driveway.
It all went down right outside his mother's house, which is why you can hear Cody screaming for her during the arrest.
Mom! Hey, relax, man!
Shut the up. Piece of
I didn't know. Yeah, you did. No, I didn't.
Actually, Cody did not have any outstanding warrants. You can hear when finally cops realized they had the wrong person.
97, right?
Yes, sir.
That's not you, just a person with the same name, but that's all right.
In 2019, Monty Ringo Dabell, an African-American man, was driving in Taylor with his girlfriend and his 3-year-old daughter when Taylor police officers pulled him over for allegedly speeding. When he failed to get out of the car and put his cigarette out as quickly as the police wanted, the officers, they escalated the encounter.
This is where the lawsuit claims officers escalate the encounter with no provocation.
Put him behind your back! Hold my hand! What the? Put your hands behind your back!
In the background screaming is the man's girlfriend.
My daughter's in the car! Stop! What the f is wrong with you? Police officer! What What is wrong with him for not listening? Keep touching him! For not listening!
And in 2020, Taylor police received a call alleging a domestic quarrel at a residence. As they arrived, they spotted 33-year-old Brendan Morgan, black man driving away. He was driving at slow speeds and quickly pulled over in a gas station parking lot when they signaled for him to stop the car. At least 8 different officers swarmed his car, pulled him out, and then proceeded to beat him and tase him on the ground.
Once the 33-year-old from Southfield is handcuffed, this is what one of the officers says.
Welcome to Taylor. You shouldn't fight with the police, brother.
Welcome to Taylor, as though this sort of police brutality is what to expect in the city. What a disgraceful thing for a police officer to say. These repeated incidents could be used in court to argue that excessive force experienced by Calvin Jones is part of a larger pattern of racial discrimination in Taylor. This would likely entitle him to even more money in damages than he might otherwise have received. However, it looks increasingly unlikely that Calvin will ever have the chance to hold these officers responsible. After the American Civil Liberties Union, or ACLU as it's known, learned about this case and provided for his legal defense, the police dropped all charges against Calvin, but a civil rights lawsuit was never filed. So why hasn't Calvin or the others sued the city and the police officers who attacked him, who falsely arrested them? Apparently, Taylor police have a history of blackmailing victims of police brutality. After an incident like this one, they charge the victims with crimes and then offer to dismiss the charges in exchange for a waiver of all claims. And unsurprisingly, they don't keep a record of all the waivers, so it's unclear how many times they use this tactic to cover up violent beatings like the ones we just watched. The ACLU requested that the Department of Justice investigate the Taylor Police Department, but that was in October of 2021, and there hasn't been news since. This is part of the reason why civil rights litigation is so important. It not only gets victims paid, but it gets cities and their unruly police departments to change by hitting them where it hurts, in their pockets. These cases also bring the police misconduct to the attention of the public, creating additional pressure for these largely unaccountable institutions to update their policies, retrain their officers, and discipline bad behavior within their ranks. So if you have had your civil rights violated by the police, don't let them get away with it. By taking them to court, you not only can get justice for what happened to you, but potentially save others from being subjected to the same treatment in the future. And if you're located in New York or one of the other cities Sioux City now serves, contact us for a free case consultation at 888-SIOUX-CITY. That's 888-783-2489. Remember, if I don't win, you don't pay a dime. And if this is your first time on my channel, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications for more videos about protecting yourself from the police and holding them accountable when they abuse their power. I make this content to help you understand your rights and learn to exercise them when it matters most. So click here to watch this video next, and I'll see you there.